Welcome to today's Explainer. I am Dr. Chem, and today we're uncovering the hidden shakes of data. Now, we all know about means, medians, and standard deviations, right? But honestly, if you stop there, you're missing the true story your data's desperately trying to tell you. Today we're going way beyond those standard averages to reveal the actual, literal shape of information. So think about this for just a second. If two data sets have the exact same average and the exact same standard deviation, are they identical? The answer is a resounding no. Imagine a seesaw. The mean tells you exactly where the center of the seesaw is balanced, and the standard deviation tells you how spread out the people sitting on it are. But guys, that is only half the story. What if all the heavy weights are bunched up on one side and just one person is sitting way, way out on the other end? Center and spread just can't detect if your data is fundamentally lopsided. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today's Explainer lecture. First, beyond mean and variance. Second, skewness, the data lean. Third, kurtosis, all about the tails. Fourth, statistical shape terminology. And finally, number 5, real-world normality checks. All right, kicking things off with section 1, beyond mean and variance, the missing puzzle piece. Relying only on everyday metrics like the mean and the standard deviation leaves some pretty dangerous blind spots in our data analysis, mainly because they completely ignore shape. In statistics, we define the characteristics of data using what we call moments. If the mean is the first moment, locating the center, and variance is the second, measuring the spread, well, then we desperately need the third and fourth standardized moments. These are skewness and kurtosis. According to the NIST Engineering Statistics Handbook, these are absolutely crucial, essential tools for detecting departures from normality and revealing the true underlying shape of your distribution. Moving right along to Section 2, Skewness, the data lean, we'll be looking at direction and asymmetry. So skewness is essentially the mathematical lean or asymmetry of your data distribution. Notice how visually obvious this skew becomes when you really look at the tails here. A skewness of 0 describes a perfectly symmetric distribution, like that normal curve right in the middle, where the mean, median, and mode all sit at the exact same point. But look over to the left and the right. The section where the scores taper off, that's called the tail, and the direction that this tail points dictates the skew. If the tail stretches away to the right, toward the higher numbers, it's positively skewed. If it points to the left, it's negatively skewed. The really crucial point here is understanding how this lean affects your real-world interpretation. On the left side with positive skew, a few incredibly high values pull the mean way up above the median. Think of something like income inequality, or maybe a really brutal exam where most students score low but a few geniuses completely ruin the curve. On the right, negative skew is the exact opposite. A few small values pull the mean below the median. This happens on a super easy exam where most people ace it, but a few people bomb it. If you just use the average in a highly skewed data set, you're totally misrepresenting what's actually typical. It's a real trap. Which brings us to Section 3, kurtosis, all about the tails. And we're going to be debunking the biggest statistical myth out there. Get ready for a bit of a plot twist, because there's a massive misconception we need to clear up right now regarding this fourth moment. If you ask most people what kurtosis measures, they'll confidently tell you it measures how pointy or peaked a distribution is. Well, actually, scratch that. It is entirely incorrect. No way around it. So what does it actually measure? The actual truth, backed up by Dr. Wheeler and statistician Peter Westphal's 2014 research, is that kurtosis is driven almost entirely by tail behavior. A distribution can be totally flat-topped and still have high kurtosis if its tails are heavy enough. It actually measures the probability of extreme values, meaning how often the distribution produces wild outliers compared to a normal bell curve. Let's move to our next section and see how this builds into the specific terminology we use to describe these crazy shapes. All right, Section 4, the statistical shape terminology. Naming the tails. Now, please don't let the academic jargon intimidate you here. It's actually quite simple once you connect the terms to tail weight. First up is Mesokurtic. Meso just means middle or medium. This is your baseline standard normal distribution, which mathematically has a kurtosis of exactly 3 or an excess kurtosis of 0. When data behaves normally, like biological measurements of human height or large-scale IQ scores, you're going to see this nice, balanced tail weight. Next is Leptokurtic, where kurtosis is greater than 3. These distributions have heavy, fat tails. The outliers are so extreme that they stretch the horizontal axis of the graph, which kind of makes the bulk of the data appear squeezed into this skinny vertical range. This shape is incredibly important in financial risk models. Why? because it means extreme events, like stock market crashes, are way more probable than a normal curve would ever predict. And finally, we have Platykurtic, where kurtosis is less than 3. Platy means flat, kind of like a platypus's bill. These distributions have lighter, thinner tails. You have fewer extreme values and outliers than a normal curve. You'll often see this flat, light-tailed shape in uniform distributions or precision manufacturing data, where super strict controls prevent extreme variations. We can actually see the exact difference side by side right here. Look at the solid red line in the middle for positive kurtosis, or leptokurtic data. See how those red tails sit slightly higher than the dotted normal line? That means more data is out there lurking in the extremes. Then look at the negative kurtosis on the right. The solid red line's tails taper off to 0 much faster, indicating thinner tails and definitely fewer outliers. Okay, bringing it all together with Section 5, real-world normality checks. Let's apply the concepts. So we've covered the theory and the terminology. Now let's see how data scientists actually apply this stuff in the real world. One of the most widely used procedures for testing normality, particularly in economics, is the Jacques-Burra-Lagrange multiplier test. And guess what? It's fundamentally built on exactly what we just learned. It's a joint test of the null hypothesis that your sample skewness equals exactly 0 and your sample kurtosis equals exactly 3. If your data strays too far from those numbers, the test mathematically rejects the assumption of normality. It's brilliant. Let's look at an actual SPSS software output. We've got 2 variables here, G1 and absences. Look at G1 first. Its skewness is negative 0.003, literally almost perfectly 0, and its excess kurtosis is 0.037. It is highly symmetric and mesokurtic, extremely close to a normal shape. But then look at absences. The skewness is a massive positive 2.021, and the kurtosis is an exploding 5.781. This tells us immediately, without even needing to look at a chart, that absences has a severe right lean with heavy leptokurtic tails absolutely filled with extreme outliers. So what does this all mean? Why does all this shape data ultimately matter to us? Well, because most statistical models simply assume your data is normal. If you ignore high kurtosis, you severely underestimate risk, which is a real game changer, especially in finance or insurance. If you ignore skewness, you end up making decisions based on averages that literally don't represent the majority of your data set at all. Shape dictates the true probability of extreme outliers, and relying on standard deviation alone leaves you completely blind to that reality. Averages are comforting, for sure, but the true nature of the world often lives in the extremes. Next time you hear a politician or a news anchor cite an average to make a point, will you remember to question the shape? Will you remember to look at the tails? Thank you so much for joining me, Dr. Cam, on this journey into the architecture of data for today's explainer. Stay curious and always look beyond the center.